Okay, welcome everybody. This is a continuing series provided by Expert Media Matters, which is a social media marketing company. Martin Pea is the IT guy behind the movement to help small business owners and entrepreneurs. He's actually the uh, guy who's operating all the technical things to do with this webinar, but welcome. We're on Zoom and we're also live streaming on Facebook. And what should we talk about? Well, the topic of the day is how to do what I'm doing right now, which is how to give webinars to promote your product or service, how to create webinars. And we're going to talk about from beginning to end. And this is actually synopsis of a 4-hour seminar. So we're not going to get into the finite details of how to do things, but basically just give you a broad brush presentation. If you're able to look at the screen, I was in Hollywood in September, several months ago, networking and meeting all these celebrities and top producers and influencers and well-known people. So one of the guys I actually met and talked to was Jack Canfield, who is the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I think he told me they sold like 500 million books, which is kind of a lot, yeah. So I got to talk to him and share ideas, as well as there's probably 10 other well-known people that I got to network with. So it was a lot of fun. This actual webinar is to help promote your company, your brand. If you have a nonprofit organization or your community service program, anything that you have that you want to promote through the webinar platform, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Martin and I put together this Ask the Expert series, which helps small business owners, entrepreneurs build, manage, and market online. Once again, the topic is creating webinars to promote your product or service, and it doesn't really matter what kind of product or service you have. If you don't have a product or service, and let's say you're a nonprofit and you want to promote your nonprofit entity, you can do the webinar as well to do that. Also, if you're fundraising, webinar is a good platform to do that as well, because with the pandemic, everybody was locked up at home, and it was hard to present anything out to the general public because no one could go anywhere and no one could basically do anything. So same with me, Martin and I, instead of going face to face and conducting seminars and networking events and all that, we couldn't. So we decided to do the same thing, but through the internet, through webinars and those kind of things. So question, what is a webinar? Anybody know? Well, it's something that you're on now. If you're joining us on Facebook and Zoom, and basically, in a nutshell, a webinar is like a seminar, but it's done over the internet or over the web. So webinar is actually a seminar given over the web, and that's basically what it is. It's also called like an online event, a webcast, and basically it's an audio visual platform. And if we're only going to do, let's say that I'm on and I'm not streaming, you can't see a video of me, but you can hear me. That's basically a podcast. So the podcast is just the audio, it's not the video. So the webinar is actually both the audio and video. And I look at it as like, it's a TV show, right? Except we're not on TV, we're on Facebook. If we wanted to be on TV, would hook up with a television channel or station and do the live thing there. The news is actually, believe it or not, a webinar in a different format, like live news. When you watch the 5 or 6 o'clock news, it's like you're watching a webinar, but it's actually called a news feed. So this year I've given probably over 60 webinars to date. I'm booked to give 65 webinars next year, and there's probably more. And I've also, I haven't given webinars, but I was also on TV, and my television, the shows that I were on were broadcast on the major network media outlets such as ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Bravo, A&E, Fox affiliates, and I don't know who else, but it's fun for me. And that's basically what a webinar is. Now, how do you plan a webinar? Okay, and this is not that difficult. So first off is you identify the what and the who. Okay, what is your product or service, or what do you want to tell people, basically? And then the who part is who could benefit from it. So these are the ideal things that would drive the whole webinar planning process. Okay, identify the what and the who. Basically, you're thinking, how do I get my message across? What message do I have? How do I get it across? What channels do I use, and so forth? Okay, the next thing you do is you pick a date and time. And I made this mistake where I was excited and I said, here's, the list of webinars that we're going to do. I plugged in the dates and the time, and we usually have it at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. For you folks that are joining us that are not from Hawaii, you're in a different time zone, and that's why we want to put down the exact time, because it's not fun to tune in to try to watch a webinar and then you find out that it didn't start yet, or what's worse is it already finished because you're in a wrong time zone. Okay, the mistake I made was setting the dates for the whole year, and then later on I realized that, oh, wait a minute, I'm going out of town at that date, so I have to make a switch. Okay, so be careful in the planning. If you can't help it, then just set the dates. And I'm presuming that you're going to do a webinar series. If you're not, and you're doing one webinar, then you just pick one date, and you don't have to pick 24 dates through the year. The next thing in planning is you specify your objectives, like what do you want to accomplish by giving the webinar, and then figure out how many attendees that you plan on having or you want to have. And just to let you know, there's on the platform that we're using, the Zoom platform, there's a hierarchy of 50 attendees, 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000, and so forth. So you got to plan accordingly, because if you're giving a webinar and you sign up for the 50 attendee plan and your webinar has 65 people registered, some people aren't going to be on it. They can't get on. So hopefully when you give your webinar, you have more than that and you can plan accordingly. So attendee count is important. The next thing is decide on the topic and the format and the speakers. You don't have to be the speaker or host of your own webinar. If you're selling a product or service, but you want to invite a guest speaker or somebody that's well known, but you're the one that's sponsoring the webinar, by all means, that's allowed. Because if you get somebody famous, guess what? More people would want to attend the webinar. Okay, so keep that in mind. Instead of deciding on one topic, you may decide on 5 or 6 different topics, and then you choose which one you think is the best one, and then start with that. Or just pick that one and go with it. The next thing is you create your outline and your description. So in other words, the planning stages, you're planning this educational module, and then what are the bullet points or the key topics that you want to cover. Okay, so you create an outline, and then you create a description of, let's say you treat it as an educational course. So in your promo material, you have to make a description of what this webinar is about, and you have to make the description not long and exciting to attract attention, to attract people wanting to attend, because that's your purpose. No sense making the webinar and nobody attends, and then you're basically talking to your own computer monitor. Okay, so the description has to be exciting, has to have some bullet points, and it's almost like it's sort of a little ad that you're trying to make. Maybe a short social media post and you want to cover the bullet points, make it exciting, interesting for people to get attracted to, that want to go online and register. Okay. Then you create your production schedule, and production schedule sounds like, whoa, what is this? We're not making a movie. What is this production thing? But the production schedule could be number one, topic, deciding a topic. Number two, decide who's going to be the host, who's going to be the speaker, who do you want as attendees. Number three, I mean, it's not that hard. It's fairly easy. It doesn't have to be that long, too. The other thing is you create your promotional plan. And believe it or not, this is just as important as the actual webinar. And the promotional plan is your marketing. And like I said before, you spend all this time, energy, and money in creating one webinar. And if you don't market it and no one attends, it's kind of like a waste of time. But it may not be a waste of time. Don't get depressed or disappointed if 2 people show up, because the key is you record it and then you save that recording and you can repurpose that recording. So in the beginning, when I gave webinars and there were 3 people, 5 people, 7 people, I kind of said, wow, I'm used to speaking in front of 200 to 4,000 people, and it's kind of defeating for me to speak where there's like 5 attendees. And then I realized that the show must go on. So it doesn't matter whether there's 2 people, 1 person attending the webinar, or there's 5,000 people attending the webinar. I'm giving the best presentation that I can, and I know it's being recorded. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that recording, and guess what? There's going to be neat things to do with the recording. Facebook Live actually is recording also. So after the webinar is completed on Facebook Live, it's there and people can watch the recording of the webinar. So that's good. So the 5 people that actually attended the Zoom platform, there's additional 5 that would watch it on Facebook on the recording, and maybe on Zoom on demand, you can pick up an additional 5, 10, who knows, 50, 100 people. So I don't get disappointed. I get excited because we're creating information to help small business owners, and even bigger businesses could benefit from the same thing. The last thing is select a webinar platform. And what is a webinar platform? I think I'll go to the next slide and can fill you in on that. Okay, so there's different types of webinars, but before I get to the platform, the types of webinars, there's a whole bunch of different types. It's not just one type. So you could have webinars for a big company doing employee training, a webinar for a product demonstration, a continuing educational webinar, and I've done that before. Service-oriented type where you have a service that you provide. Let's say you're a physical therapist and you could make a webinar by showing different exercises you can do to help protect people from back injuries, okay, for example, okay? And that's a health type of webinar. You could have a webinar like a cooking show where you're demonstrating how to cook something. So if you think of like the different TV shows, it's similar to webinars. You can do the same thing. Okay, so depends on what type of webinar you're giving. And for the most part, product or service, you may be demonstrating a product, or you don't have to demonstrate it. Let's say that it's a product where it doesn't have moving parts. Let's say you're an artist and you create a webinar for people to watch how to paint. Okay, let's say your class is on watercolor. Okay, so today, welcome to our local art webinar. We're talking about watercolor painting, and you have the camera and you're demonstrating how to start off painting, with watercolors. So that's one type, instructional. Another type is, let's say you made a whole bunch of paintings and you want to market it, you want to sell it. And I have a friend, Jimmy, who's an artist, and let's say if he wants to sell his nice watercolor artwork, and by the way, he does other types of art, not only watercolor, but lately he's been doing the watercolor thing, and he could do his own webinar and he could have his nice paintings shown on the video at the webinar and describe it. Here's my painting that I did of the Haleiwa Bridge, and this won XYZ award. And here's, I don't know if he sold it or not or whatever, but that's what he could do in any artist. You could be a musician. You could do a webinar to give guitar lessons, piano lessons, or you could give a webinar just explaining how you record, song or things like that. So there's like so many different ways. And because of that pandemic, so many people have got on the webinar bandwagon. Zoom used to be just a small company offering a platform for businesses to educate employees and things like that. And with the pandemic, I think they're now like 500 million users or something like that. But it's a pretty big industry because the pandemic actually helped the industry. You can't go out to meet people. I can still meet people and I can still talk to them using the webinar platform. Now, let's talk about the platform. Choosing the right platform. There's so many different platforms you can use, and I use Zoom because before I started giving webinars, I was attending webinars and meetings on Zoom. So I kind of got used to that platform. And there's a whole bunch of some other platforms that aren't even listed here that are pretty good too. And they basically are similar in nature. It's basically a live stream among different people, and you just have to decide on which is best for you. And each one has little different features to it. Like the Zoom one will once we set up for registration, the Zoom platform will actually automatically send an email to the attendees that are registered to remind them, don't forget this webinar is going to be 1 day from now, or the webinar is starting in 1 hour. And I like that feature because there was times where I got so busy and I forgot about it, and then I got the email that it was happening. So then I logged on. Okay, so You just got to select the right platform. I'm not telling you to use Zoom. Zoom is the platform that we use. There's other ones, so it's just, check it out on your own. Now, selecting the proper format. So through Zoom, there's actually two types of formats. This one is a Zoom meeting versus a Zoom webinar. And you might ask, well, what's the difference? Okay, that it's simple. The meeting platform is more interactive, and it's kind of like audience participation versus a webinar where it's mainly a kind of like a lecture kind of format, and the audience doesn't participate as much. And that's why, and most of the time at a webinar, you either have one speaker or you have a couple speakers, and the audience is listening. On a meeting, if you have 20 people, everybody's microphone's on and everyone could be talking, and sometimes it gets hectic because multiple people are talking at the same time, and it's hard to figure out who's talking to who. Okay, so that's why I use the webinar feature, because it's basically I'm the one talking and people are listening, except I turn it into kind of a meeting at the end. And when people that are on the Zoom platform, we can open up the microphone, right? Or if they don't want to talk live, they use the chat feature or the Q&A, and we read their comments or questions and then we answer them. On Facebook Live, they can't talk to us because we're on Zoom. Okay, so they would have to post their question or comment on Facebook, and we would have to look at beyond Facebook to actually read their message. So that's the proper format. If you're running a meeting type and you want more interaction with people and they can ask questions and talk at the same time, then use the meeting platform. If you want to do a webinar where you're the one talking and giving information, then use the webinar platform. It's not that difficult. You might want to try one versus the other as an experiment and see what happens, and then you can go from there. Now let's talk about the planning part of this. The planning stage is important because without proper planning, you can't actually start this whole webinar thing. So the planning would be, after you get your initial outline done, then here's what I do. Okay, an outline is created with bullet points and topics, and then there could be subtopics, and then we decide on using the PowerPoint format, and we have our headings for the PowerPoint and then different images that we're using. And I take the agenda, okay, which is basically the bullet points, the main topics, and then I turn that into my actual PowerPoint presentation notes. So for one item, such as like, what is a webinar, okay, which is the topic, and I add in my notes. So when I'm giving the actual presentation, okay, the PowerPoint slide would say, what is a webinar? But in my own notes, it would be more detailed. Okay, so I have the PowerPoint creation. You find images that you want to use to plop in the slides and make it look inviting. You just don't want all text and no color, and then it gets kind of boring. I also give a series of webinars on building and construction, and I use a lot of photos that I take on job sites, and it's interesting to look at the photos and explain, oh, this is concrete falling off a building and that kind of thing. So when talking about PowerPoint, there's Microsoft PowerPoint, and they have templates. There's Google, Slide Deck, Canva. There's a whole bunch. So I've even had people tell me they made their own PowerPoint slides. They didn't use a template. Okay, well, that's good. It just takes a lot of time, but people can do that. So you want to put together your basic PowerPoint and your images and all that. Now, you don't have to use PowerPoint. You don't even have to have a PowerPoint presentation. You can have your own presentation. For instance, if you're demonstrating how to cook a dish, or how to do physical therapy, or you're doing painting, you don't need a PowerPoint. In fact, the PowerPoint would actually get in the way, because you're basically having a camera videotaping you exercising or painting or fishing or whatever the situation is. Okay, I use PowerPoint because I'm not at a site somewhere where I can actually tell people, look at this building, or look at this, or whatever. Okay, so that's just to help you if you need to use PowerPoint to help. And a key takeaway is, do not make the PowerPoint your presentation. In other words, the PowerPoint is actually a guide to help your actual presentation. In fact, you should have your presentation down first, and the PowerPoint is just a guide to help drive the point home. The PowerPoint is not the lead, you're the lead. Okay, and I've given presentations without PowerPoint at all, and I'm talking about building, construction stuff. That's difficult because I don't have photos to show people. Okay, but it's very challenging, and you really got to be on your game to do that. Now, let's say that you have your plan, your outline, your content, you have your PowerPoint, you made your outline, you have your presentation, you have all your notes and all that. Now what? Okay. Oh, one important thing that you need to do is you need to promote like hail. And I got a picture of a hailstorm. Okay. And why am I saying this? Is because without getting the word out to people, and they don't know that you're actually giving the webinar, nothing's going to happen. Okay, you just be giving your webinar, you'll be recording it, and no one knows about it. So how do you promote? Okay, what do you do to promote? One, family and friends, you let them know. You have a network of business associates or clients or customers, you let them know. You also use social media. Are you on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram? You use all those platforms to help you promote. That is key. If you don't promote, you're missing this whole point here. So, and we kind of learned the hard way when we first started. We put together these fantastic webinars, and we didn't promote like we should. We thought if we build it, they will come, but then how are they going to come if they don't even know about it? Okay, so that's another good takeaway. You really got to promote, and I'll talk more about that later. I got some examples here. When you have your webinar ready to go, you can go on your website, and hopefully you have a website, and you can put some kind of banner or some kind of official notice that, oh, by the way, we're offering this webinar on this date at this time. Please join us. Click here, and you can register. Okay, you can do that on your website. What I did was I took it, Martin and I took this a bit further, and we actually created our own website specific to the webinars. So in other words, we have our own webinar website, and that's part of our branding. So we took this whole webinar series and recreated a special website just for the webinars alone. It has nothing to do with our business website. Okay, so we basically have two separate websites that are only branded for webinars. That's it. So if you look at the image on the left, this is actually from a screenshot from our website, from my Ask the Building Expert website. And we're giving a webinar November 23rd on flooring and sound transmission, but that's not the point. The point is that this is actually a separate website, standalone website, not connected to our my company website. And we're just going all out. Now, the website that we made for our webinars has these categories. We have a home page, we have a webinar schedule, we have webinars on demand. Well, what is that? Well, all the webinars that we've given so far, the videos are put up there on demand for anybody to watch. Okay. We have webinar takeaways. What's that? Well, if we have PowerPoint that you want, or handouts, that's on that page. We have publications, and we have webinar schedule 2022. So on our Building Expert website, we already have the webinar titles listed for next year already. Okay, so that's what we did. We took it to the next level. Now, what else do we have? Well, let's talk about email marketing and social media posts. So this is the part about you promote like hail. Okay, so email marketing, social media posts, that's what we're using to promote. So if you look on the image on the left, we have this is a screenshot of our Expert Media Matters website. Ask the Marketing Experts. This is a separate website specific to our webinars. Okay, and then social media posts, I think this is on LinkedIn. So we make posts on social media, and we're using Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, I believe, maybe Instagram, not sure. And this is a screenshot of a social media post on LinkedIn marketing and promoting this webinar that you're attending now. Okay, and this is what we do to promote. So by doing this, then we get people to sign up on our Zoom platform, and then on the Facebook, we get people to actually watch our webinar on Facebook Live. Okay, so it's very important. The email marketing, hopefully you have an email list and you send an email out to all the people on your list, clients, customers, friends, family, whoever, letting them know that, hey, I'm giving a webinar, please join us. Social media posts, pretty much the same thing, except you're posting it, your Facebook friends or other associates on LinkedIn would be able to see it and hopefully join out. Remember, not everybody is interested in the subject matter that you're going to present on your webinar. So for instance, I may have 4,000 Facebook friends, but are all of them small business owners? No. No. How many are small business owners? Well, maybe 800 of them. How many are actually interested in attending a webinar about giving webinars? Well, maybe half of them, or maybe 10%, who knows? But so the numbers keep declining, but it's a numbers game. The more people can see your promotion, the chances are the more people are going to actually sign up and be an attendee, and that's what you want, right? Okay. Facebook Live is something else. So when you're giving your webinar, you want to go Facebook Live. Okay, and we're on Facebook Live now. So basically, I'm just pretty much explaining to you what I'm actually doing. I'm not just saying, well, do it, and you're on your own. This is live, and what we do is we like before, we take our Zoom recording and we put it on our website. So if you miss the Facebook live feed, then you can always go get the same, watch the same video on our website. So we just created this whole kind of like a monster of a website, I call it, which is just not our normal company website that we're posting our webinar on it. Okay, so you can be like us, or you can do one webinar and go with that. But when you do the one webinar, be sure you post the video somewhere on your company website. Okay. Now, giving your webinar, ready, set, go, lights, camera, action. That's what it's all about. So before I actually logged on to Zoom today, and before we went on Facebook Live, Martin and I have to do the same thing. Ready, set, go, lights, camera, action. It's almost like in the old days, lights, camera, action before they started, filming a movie. Okay, so let's say that you finish giving your webinar. Now what do you do? Okay, there's a post-webinar to-do list. And I know I'm going through this thing pretty fast. There's other steps, but we don't have all day. So the key takeaway points is after your webinar's completed, you send a thanks for attending email. And how do you do that? Well, you can't do it if you don't know who attended. So that's why you use a platform where people can register and you capture their email and then you have their email. Okay? And we send out a thank you email. Thank you for attending. Oh, by the way, here's our upcoming webinar. Hope you can attend that too. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone on that. The other thing is post a video on your own website and your company website. You may want to transcribe the video for a blog post. When you're transcribing the video, you're transcribing the text, the words, okay? And then here's another thing. You can strip the audio from the video, okay, and use only the audio and you have a podcast. So if you do one webinar, you have the recording of that one webinar, okay? You can post the one webinar video on your website. Now, what else? Well, you take the transcription and you make a blog post out of it, and you take the audio and you do a podcast. If you don't have a blog post or you don't have a podcast, you can still transcribe it and you can put a section on your website, blog posts or articles or something like that. The audio, you can do the same thing. I mean, if you're using different platforms that can store the files for the audio, then you can create your own podcast if you want. Okay? And then the other thing is you measure performance. How do you measure performance? Well, you see how well you did. You have other people say, can you, did you attend the webinar? If you did, can you give me a feedback? If you didn't attend it, can you spend some time watching this and let me know what you think? And don't feel bad when you get criticisms or compliments that aren't too complimentary. Okay, it's just part of the learning process in trying to get more and more professional. That's all. Okay, so you need to measure performance. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier is when you're trying to track who attended. If you're doing a Facebook Live, you go to your Facebook feed and you see the people that clicked like or people that actually made comments, and those are people who are on. So you need to capture the names and maybe send them a Facebook message or something like that if you don't really know who they are, and just thank them. Or you go on Facebook and let's say there's 50 people that attended the webinar on Facebook Live, you might not have time to personally go on Facebook Messenger and give each person a separate thank you. So you can go on your Facebook feed and just type in, thank you everybody for attending, my webinar. If you have any questions about the subject matter, feel free to, hit me up or something. So you could do that too, but do something. Don't just ignore people, because the attendees want kind of a pat on the back saying, thanks for, I know you're busy. Thanks for spending time with me, whatever time. If I'm giving an hour seminar and they spend 10 minutes on Facebook Live, hey, I appreciate that too. Maybe they're busy and they had to log off. They couldn't stay on. Okay, so measuring performance is always good. Acknowledging people. Lucky 7 tips for using webinars to promote your product or service. Plan your topics, choose the proper platform, select the proper format, create engaging content and images, promote. I can't stress that enough. Post webinar action items. You want to follow up, measure performance, and plan your next webinar. And I put that in because if you guys once you give one webinar and you find out it's not that stressful, it's not that bad, you may be interested in doing another one. Or when I give webinars, people go, oh, when's your next webinar and what's the topic? So if once I gave the first one and people started asking the question, emailing me, and they, oh, I guess they're interested. I'm excited too to give the next webinar because now I have an audience. Okay. What you've missed? Well, you didn't miss anything if you're on this webinar, but the previous webinars that we gave, Get Known Now, Becoming a Celebrity Expert in Your Field, Branding and Storytelling, Social Media, Videos Rock, Be Seen and Heard, Top 10 Ways to Promote Your Business Using Social Media, How to Create Your E-commerce Website, Top 10 Tips to a Killer and Thriller Website. Actually, it's top 7 tips, but I exaggerated. Promoting your business free on social media. That's a fun one that I give. Facebook marketing for small businesses, cheap and cheaper Facebook marketing ideas, and ways to promote your e-commerce website. So if you miss these, guess what? You didn't really miss it. You missed the live performance, but we still got it recorded on demand. You go to our website and you can watch it whenever you want. And, share it too if you think it's shareable. What's coming up? We have 11 good webinars for business owners next year. But next month, save the date, on December 21st, we're giving a party. It's going to be a Zoom party and for Ask the Expert attendees. And you have to go to our website to register. There's going to be some music, games, prizes, food, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's all it is. It's about fun. And we're doing that to give back, to say thank you. It's our appreciation to you for supporting us and attending our webinars or just supporting us in general. So we hope you can attend that. It's only going to be for 1 hour, and I guarantee there's going to be fun games and prizes. Martin may even dress up as Santa. I don't know, but I think he needs to gain some more weight. But anyway, we got something for you. If you're a small business owner or entrepreneur and you need leads, everybody needs leads. We're giving away free monthly leads for you. You go to this website, freeforever.now.site, and we have a platform that no obligation. Every month you get 10 free leads, and it's not just leads pulled out of a hat. You're going to put in what category you want the leads. So it's not like leads that are coming from left field. If you say that you're uh, a business owner that specializes in accounting, you're going to get leads of people who are looking for an accountant or CPA or something like that. So freeforever.now.site. Remember that it's free, no obligation. They're not going to sell you anything. And what else do we have? Oh, we feel pretty good today. We're in the spirit of giving. I know Thanksgiving's coming up. You get our free business marketing books. And these are books that are on Amazon for sale. One is Promote Your Small Business Online Today to Survive. And the other one is The Ultimate Small Business Game Changer, Promote Your Business for $47 a month. These books were written both by myself and Martin Pea. And you can go to our website and download the ebook. And the website is askmarketingexperts.now.site/publications. But if you can't remember that, just go to the website askmarketingexperts.now.site and then just look for the publications tab. Now, what else do we have here? That's the end. So we're going to take Q&A. Before we do that, any questions, email info@expertmediamatters.com. Phone number 808-202-2384. Now, if you don't use 808, you'll get I don't know what you get, out of service, not in service, or you didn't include the area code, whatever. So we're open to help you guys. So at this time, I want to open it up for any Q&A. Hopefully, there's people on Zoom using the chat function or the Q&A. If you're on Facebook, please post your comments or questions. If you don't have a question, but you enjoyed the webinar, just post something that it was good or something like that. Okay, we welcome all your comments, questions, whatever. So I'd like to wake Martin up from his deep sleep and see if he has any questions from the audience here.
Yes, Lance. Thanks for waking me up.
Okay, anytime.
Here we go. We had a few questions come in, so let me get right to them. The first one here is, I am just starting out here. What kind of equipment is needed and the cost to do my first webinar?
Okay, very simple. You could actually give a webinar using your smartphone, because your smartphone has a monitor, it has a microphone, right? And so you could talk to it, and your smartphone could actually go online. Okay, that's very simple. But to do it in little upgraded format, you're going to need a computer, and you could use your desktop or laptop. You're going to need a camera. And now the new laptops come with cameras built in. So you're going to need a camera, you're going to need a microphone, and you're going to need internet access. And if you want better lighting, then you're going to need to get a ring light or some other light. But those are the basic essentials. And then start off small at first. Don't need to spend $2,000 on upgrading the latest and greatest camera or lighting or speakers or whatever. So I have a ring light that I use. I have a cheap camera attached to my computer monitor. And then I have a cheap speaker system that I use, that I plug my headphones in. And that's basically what I've been doing. And I haven't upgraded yet. I think I'm planning to upgrade to a better system for more professional microphone, more professional camera, speaker system, and lighting. Maybe between $2,000 to $3,000. So So that's coming up, but you don't need to spend a lot. You can actually do it for fairly cheap. So just, start off and get it done and see what happens.
Good answer, Lance. Good answer. Okay. Next question we have is, besides putting the video of my webinar on my website, what are some of the other ways I can use my video?
You could actually promote it on social media, but it may be too long. So if you have access or know how to do it or know somebody that can do video editing, you can take, let's say you do a 1 hour webinar, you can chop it up into snackable videos and have like every 5 or 10 minutes and make separate videos from those. So instead of one video for 1 hour, you could have 5 or 6 videos that are shorter in length and snackable and more digestible and easier for people to watch. It's easier to watch a 3 to 5 minute video than an hour video. Okay, so that's what you could do. And then when you take those little snackable pieces, now you have, instead of one social media post, now you can have 6 to 10 social media posts posting different sections of the webinar. You can do that. So there's different things that you can do. If you need more ideas, just reach out to us and we can help.
Thank you, Lance. Next question that came up was, how many hours does it take from start to finish to plan a webinar?
I think average about 20 to 25 hours from start to finish. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. If you really want to plan and do things right, it's going to take more time. If you want to just wing it and put something together fast, it's going to take you less time. But I would say the average for one webinar would be probably 20 hours or so. And after all the ducks are in order, like the PowerPoint's completed and my actual presentation notes are done, I actually rehearse, like same thing I do when I'm giving a live seminar. I go and rehearse it. And every time you do that, there's more time added to the preparation. Yeah. So if it's a 1 hour seminar I'm giving, I'm rehearsing hours and hours to just make a 1 hour webinar or seminar. So when people actually go to my live seminars and I'm talking for 1 hour, they don't realize that I've spent 40 hours preparing that. And you got to do that in order to make it come across as more professional or as much professional looking and feeling as you can. So, and if you talk to all the professional speakers and professional webinar people or other professionals that give podcasts, they pretty much do the same thing. They don't just sit down in front of the screen and wing it, because some people can do that and it'll be okay, but most people can't. They need to kind of prepare and rehearse and things like that. So good. Any more questions?
Yes, let's get, let's see, a couple more here. The next one is, in your opinion, what would you say is the most important thing to do in the entire webinar process?
I would think the entire process, if I had to say which was the most important, it would be marketing, getting the word out, using social media to promote. Because even if your webinar topic is not that exciting, you promote it so that you get more people attending. Okay? If you have a very exciting webinar topic, and who knows what topic is exciting, it's hard to tell, except like, oh, if I give a webinar, attend my webinar and we're going to select the winner at the end and he'll win $1,000. I mean, I'm sure people would sign up, but most topics aren't like that. So I would say marketing is the key. Because if you have a not so interesting topic, if you market like crazy and people attend, that's better for you, right? So, we offer tips on giving webinars and different things you can do to market. So reach out to us, because I know time's running out on this webinar. So, we're happy to help you.
Okay, get one more question, Lance, and it kind of goes back to your one of your prior questions. This one says, I am not a speaker or presenter. Do you have any tips to give me?
Yeah, you can actually take classes on learning how to speak or present. There's actually videos online. There's a whole bunch of videos online, how to be a speaker, tips on how to speak in front of people. There's actually a lot of information you can read about it. There's even books about the subject. And let's say that you absolutely don't want to speak or anything. You find somebody that you can work with, and that person can be the spokesman. Now, if you see all these commercials on TV, most of the people that own the company are not the ones out there speaking. Maybe, with the exception of the pillow guy or whatever, but they hire spokespeople, and that's why models are hired. That's why celebrities are hired. You got professional sports players that could be golfers, football players, basketball players, soccer players that go on and market, talk about some health product or a fitness machine or something like that. So the person that actually owns a company may not be the one speaking. So you don't have to be the one speaking. Like, I could hire Martin to speak and give the webinar instead of me or somebody else. But I like to speak, and I like to educate people. So plus that is cheaper. If I hire somebody, like if I hire Martin, then it's gonna have to pay him stuff. So I just do it on my own. But you can hire somebody, and they don't even have to be a celebrity. They don't even have to be a professional that knows how to do something. But remember that if you're demonstrating physical therapy or you're cooking, you kind of have to be that professional. You can't hire somebody to speak for you about those things, right? So, yeah, just reach out to us if you need any help. We got any other questions on Zoom, or how about on Facebook? Did you check Facebook?
Yeah, I checked both sides. So we have comments on both sides. No question, no other questions, but a lot of good comment.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Well, like to, on behalf of Martin and myself and Expert Media Matters, we want to extend our appreciation for joining us today at this webinar on webinars. And I had trouble typing the topic because it was like, we're giving a webinar on webinars. And what is this about? Oh, it's about webinars. Okay. So stay tuned. Hopefully you can join us. This is November already. So next month is our party, and you have to register on our Zoom platform. If you're on Facebook, you can, I don't know if we're going to stream it on Facebook or not. We might, but you can't participate. You have to be on Zoom to participate and to try to win prizes and all that. We'll have some good prizes. Also, check out our website. We always have things. We're going to have a takeaway. We're going to have a copy of the PowerPoint. There's going to be a copy of the Lucky 7 tips. And Thanksgiving's coming up, so be thankful for family and friends, and hopefully this pandemic will end soon. And so we'll sign off. Once again, we thank you for joining, and hope to see you at our next webinar or at the party. We're going to use Zoom platform, but it's called a webinar, but it's actually a party. So anyway, We'll see you guys again soon. Thank you very much. Aloha.